I don't know. I mean, I think Marvel maybe does an okay job of reaching customers as well as any company does now, which is to say they don't.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Well, ho, ho, ho.
Happy holidays, Patrick.
Happy holidays, Dal. This is the Christmas episode of Contest of Challengers.
What is Contest? What? Say it again? What is it?
I don't know. It's this thing that we do at the most inconvenient times when mountains of work are piled up and we still have to force it around.
I think it's mostly when we do it and I haven't eaten in a while and it's right before I eat. That's when I don't enjoy the process of Contest of Challengers, the comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network.
Oh, I see. Because normally we would record on Fridays after I finished work.
Right.
But you were off.
But it's not the work thing. That's what I'm saying. It's how hungry I am. See, you eat lunch a lot later in the day than I do, traditionally.
Or not at all.
Which is your choice. But usually you'll eat later in the day, so I feel like you're fine not having food until after the Contest of Challengers, the comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network recording takes place. Where for me, I'm usually eating lunch a little early in the day, so by the time I'm sitting down to record Contest of Challengers, et cetera,
I think you meant to say a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network.
That doesn't
in Chicago
sound right.
Oh, I guess I'll keep trying till we get it right.
So I'm usually like pretty hungry now when we start to record, and that means that my ability to just like enjoy the process is I'm doing is thinking like in an hour I can eat my dinner.
For one, we're recording later now in the evenings.
Yeah, a little bit.
But for two,
this is only a little bit.
I mean, I was ready to record 40 minutes ago.
Sure.
Just FYI.
Well, I was on a bus. If you want to record remotely with me on a bus.
But I don't see, like, if you weren't working today, how are you more hungry?
If I wasn't working on a Friday, I would probably have had my breakfast a little bit later in the day.
Okay.
I would have had lunch significantly later in the day, knowing that we'd be recording around 7 to 8. So that I would probably not be having dinner until like 9 or 10.
Okay.
I don't have that option when I'm working because I get hungrier a lot faster. My day starts a lot earlier.
And is it safe to say that you're exerting more energy on a day you're working?
That's what I mean by I get a lot hungrier.
Okay.
Like I'm doing more things, I'm more active than at home where I might,
be doing less things.
Be less active, more prone to snacking, that sort of stuff, where the meals...
There were a bunch of snacks at Blue you could have tucked into.
I don't like snacking at work, though. I'd rather just have a meal and be done with it. And the snacks that are there, I mean, this is way more in detail than I personally feel comfortable going, and additionally than anyone cares to listen to. But it's not... I'm very particular when it comes to snacks because I don't like to snack. I won't just I just need calories. I'm just going to shove things in my mouth until calories start showing up in my system. It's like I would rather wait for a meal that I could enjoy than just shovel things into my mouth to create energy via metabolic processes.
So, future reference.
Also, because I'm hungry, talking about this is honestly making me slightly irritated. But go on.
Okay.
Future reference.
No, never mind.
Okay.
Would you rather stop recording and eat and then come back?
I would not. I would rather record and check one more thing off my list for today. But maybe this is for 2020, maybe we can revisit how we schedule the recordings so Dal is not just racing through them.
Well, if Dal would just eat on the bus like everybody else.
Ugh, no, absolutely not.
Just ask for the...
Absolutely not. We're moving on from food. Patrick, how was the week in comic books for you?
So I had an idea about the club, and I don't know that it's a good one or not, but there are a couple of people who are very, very, and when I say very twice, I mean extremely hands-on.
Okay.
And there are people who basically make us work, I'm not exaggerating, 10 times harder than most club members.
Wow, and that's not even an exaggeration.
No.
Okay.
I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
Without 100% knowing what you're talking about, sure.
I mean, I think you could guess.
I mean,
if you got an email.
Probably, yes.
So, for a certain couple of people in the club, what if we took them off of the subscriptions and just made them 100% special orders? It doesn't do us any good to look at their numbers and say, all right, well, we need these for club, because half the time we don't. And we're going in last minute and changing those, and it gives a false representation of what we need. And I think it's just easier every month to say, oh, here's all the things they want, then I have to cancel this, I have to change this cover, I have to do this. And I know I'm complaining, you're the one who has to do it because you are nicer and aren't as bothered by it as I am.
So I see what you're saying.
That sentence always means, but I disagree.
It's not that I disagree, it's that it's a very, subjective thing. You get more irritated by it, so if it's something you're doing more of, then you're going to want to do less of it. But if what you're saying is, I'm doing more of it, it's half a dozen of one, six of the other. I see what you're saying as far as how you'd want to do it, but that's just moving the work around as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
It's not making less work, it's just creating a different workflow that has as many steps in it. It's just more of the same steps rather than half of one step and then half of another step.
Well, there's a part B, which I know you would definitely not be on board for.
Okay.
I think that because of the extra work, we don't get the benefit that we're supposed to, so I think they should lose their discount.
I disagree with that, mostly because depending on who we're talking about, I mean, it's tough because there's literally one person that you're talking about right now.
Talking about two.
Well, you're talking about two, but one of them is way more upfront with their orders. They turn them in well in advance. There's not a lot of shifting around that I've seen. But it's the other one who is a little bit more last minute, like, oh, can I get this one or this one or this one? And even then, it's not for every book they get. It's for a few titles here and there. So I see why you're irritated by it, and it's just variant covers. This is the problem with the subscription service, is that now you're not subscribing to Batman, you're subscribing to Batman, but Batman has 2 covers every month. Which one do you want more? You're not just subscribing to X-Men. X-Men could have anywhere between 2 and 8 covers for the month. Which of them are more interesting? And we get people above and beyond the couple people who are making alterations to their subscription list to reflect what individual cover they might prefer for that particular issue. We're getting definitely people that are coming in who are saying, oh, I switched this cover out for this cover on the shelf. I'm seeing that happen a lot more often.
Yeah, which is also a thing that to keep our records accurate, we have to delete and then re-add. And it feels like the comic companies are going out of their way to invalidate the idea of subscriptions.
Yeah, and I mean, some of it is, there's an easy way to solve it, and it's a solution that we got rid of a few years ago. Only carry one cover.
Yeah.
Don't order variants.
Well,
just say no.
That solves the swapping out the shelf. It doesn't.
It solves every problem. If we just, I mean, I'm not advocating this, but I'm saying it is a solution to the problem. If we just flat out said, no, we order the A cover for every book, that's at the end.
But what about people that say, okay, but I want the B cover this time?
We don't order that. Period. Full stop.
Even if they ask for it in advance.
I'm not advocating this.
Okay.
I do not want to do this, but I'm suggesting, basically, just to illustrate how fundamental a problem this is in the industry, the only way to solve it is to say, we only carry the A cover, the end. Not for special orders, not for the shelf, not for my mom. Nobody, A covers, that's what you get. You don't like it, shop somewhere else. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm not saying that is the best solution to our problem. I'm saying to keep this from ever happening ever again, in the same way that the only solution to all of the subscription service problems we have is get rid of the subscription service, this is the solution to the variant cover problem.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but a solution to all the problems is close the store.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you drill down far enough.
Sure.
And so, I mean, as a result, if you flip that around, there are going to be irritations to every aspect of running a business. Nothing is frictionless. Nothing is ever going to be money showed up. I didn't have to. I had to do the appropriate amount of work to get it, and everything was fine. Like there's always. I was saying this before. Like when we were talking about the, or I was mentioning the Eventbrite people. We have 155 people that attended the AJ Mendez, Amy Garcia.
There you go.
Signing event. There's going to be so many errors in this. Wizard needs food badly. There were 155 people, and our average generally for what percentage of everything we do needs extra help is about 7%. That is an unscientific thing. That's just anecdotally. But about 7% of everything we deal with needs more help with it, needs more assistance, needs more information, is asking for something where it's not what everyone else is doing, but can you do this extra thing for me? So, like, for Eventbrite, for 155 people, I mean, it's basically like 8 people that are like, I know you're sending these out at the end. Can you send mine out now early for more money? I know you said they're in Bucktown. Can you send mine over to River North? And that's just... the more you scale up, the more it's going to happen. So when you've got a few hundred people in the subscription service, like 15 of them probably are going to be some level of, I don't want to be petty about it. So I'm trying to think of a word that best describes the need for additional assistance. Needs additional assistance.
It's like last week's episode with the new subscription enforcement. Mm-hmm. It's the same people over and over that are causing that. And it's the same thing with this. It's the same people over and over. When somebody randomly says, hey, can I get this one issue or something, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, there's way more detail, but I'm not comfortable going into it.
So, I mean, to be more realistic about solving the problem, I mean, if we went to these people and said, this is too much work for us, we don't want to do this, they will be fine with that and they will shop somewhere else. Like, I'm not saying this to be argumentative, but, like, is that what you want?
Man, I almost don't want to say the answer.
Why?
It's kind of what I want.
Okay, yeah, I guess...
because that's how much it aggravates me.
So and that's the alternative is, I don't. I would rather retain their business and do a little bit of extra work than
I guess maybe what I want is some acknowledgement of how much extra work they require.
I think they do acknowledge it. This is so tricky because I don't 100% know the specific people you're referring to, but I think the ones that have made requests like that, it either they give it to us well in advance, like coinciding with the current catalog, so it's nothing that we have to go in afterwards and make changes after we've already placed orders. It's while we're placing orders, so I mean, it's a little bit of extra work, but it's not sticking up with books. It's not screwing up our numbers. It's just saying, instead of ordering me this one this month, order me this other one, and it's before we order it. So, or even the people afterwards who are saying, a couple weeks out, hey, can I get this one or whatever? I think they're generally appreciative of the extra work and acknowledge that we are doing extra work to take care of their requests. And also, in instances where we've had to say, that's not possible, they totally understand that, the orders have closed, or we don't have any extra, or it's going to take an extra week. I feel like, maybe you're not feeling the same appreciation.
Appreciation?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Okay. I'm sorry that's the case then.
Well, I guess this is my food topic for the night, so let's move on.
Okay.
What else you got?
What else have I got?
Yeah.
What else have I got? I don't know. Gosh. It's a weird time for like comics industry news because everything's kind of winding down for the year. Like nothing's on final order cut off this week, really. Multiple publishers have said we're not doing anything for the rest of the year.
Sure.
So many places are basically telling us like they are not even going to be in the office for the next like 3 weeks.
Well, big industry news, if you want to call it that, for the week was the list of all the Free Comic Day books.
Yeah, I suppose.
But it's not. That's not really. I mean, I almost never care what the books are.
Sure.
Especially since we stopped doing the whole, we got to get a person, and we got to get this person in to do something for us.
And like a lot of things when it comes to the comics industry, we won't even have all the information until final order cutoff. What's Marvel's gold book? I don't know, some X-Men thing. Who's working on it? No idea. What's the cover look like? No idea. What's DC's thing? Literally no idea. No idea what the characters are. No idea what the creative team is like. No idea if it's a standalone story or leading into some big event. It literally could be anything. Have literally no idea. So it's like, how do you even talk about that then?
We can just talk about how annoying it is that it's like that every year. Last year, both of DC's books were classified. Last year, both of DC's books were...
Is that right?
Is certainly underwhelming.
Was the DC thing classified because they both ended up being...
Kids' books.
Well, like kids and YA.
Yeah.
Which makes me think they weren't classified.
They were.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
They probably just... And that's the thing, like sometimes top secret just means we haven't decided yet.
Right.
Because we don't have to
decide
decide
yet. Because they do their big 25-cent issue around the same time, which they have the last couple years.
Yeah, maybe that's possible.
The year before, DC's Superhero Girls, which was a reprint of a book that had already come out, was classified.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Why is that classified?
No idea. Again, I think it's just because what we think is classified is like, well, it's a huge, big deal news thing, so we can't tell you because it's going to spoil so many stories.
Last year, Spider-Man, and it was what? Spider-Man and Avengers? It was a Jason Aaron Avengers book was the gold level book.
Yeah, and was it...
And Spider-Man and Venom was the silver
Yeah, it was
book.
Absolute Carnage lead-in? Is
Yeah,
that right?
But I mean, they were both... The Avengers was a good standalone... They were both good standalone issues, but none of them deserve to be classified. Like, we're leaking major information.
Yeah.
And I just think that's disrespectful.
Okay. Yeah, Marvel certainly as a company tends to, I don't want to say abuse, but they take advantage of the final order cutoff more than other publishers do, where it's just like, well, we don't have to tell you until the week we close orders, so we're not going to tell you further than a couple weeks before you close orders.
Yeah, we don't care if your customers get excited or not.
Which, I mean, frankly, I don't care if the customers get excited about it. Free Comic Day... I
meant in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know. I mean, I think Marvel maybe does an okay job of reaching customers as well as any company does now, which is to say they don't. They've got social media reach. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, people follow the Marvel brand. But yeah, it's how does anyone ever learn about anything, you know, when they see it on the shelves? No one seems to know anything in advance.
Man, I got my pencil and my pen in here, but not my notebook.
Do you want to open that copy of Skulldigger and Skeleton Boy and just write it?
No, I don't, because it's black pages.
It's true.
Oh, no, it's white pages.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Too late. Anyway, ship
it's a special bonus one for somebody.
So,
Challengers Notes. Contest of Challengers Notes, which, by the way, is a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel podcast
but
network
where?
At Christmas.
Oh, it's true.
I had two different ways this is going to start, and we went completely different directions.
Sure.
I did want to say that
what I was talking about.
the number of just FOC stuff.
Okay.
The number of club members who have acknowledged the email that you sent out
yes,
is a positive thing.
I think so.
And the number of people that, like, when you say, hey, here's a form that talks about how we're going to be enforcing on them, like, yeah, I got the email.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
which is great. Yeah, the open rate is usually not what we're super certain of. Like, sometimes we see the open rate and we're just like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it's right. People are actually looking at these, even people who I'm like, I can't imagine this person reads the weekly emails because we never get, like, subscription requests or questions or anything from them. And they're like, no, I read it. Great. Awesome. I feel, I like the idea of having to say, oh, you don't need this thing that we printed out.
Yeah.
Then, because you already have the information.
Yeah, and honestly, the majority of the people that are doing that are the people that weren't the problem anyway.
Yeah, again.
But we've got a couple of acknowledgements of people like, yeah, this is my fault.
We did.
One of them called today and said, I'll pay for my books over the phone.
Cool. Yeah, we did get a few emails where people are like, yep, that's me. I'll try and do better in 2020. And
yeah.
I mean, none of the point of the email was necessarily like name and shame. Like,
no, it wasn't. It was
to say, look, these are rules that maybe people aren't aware of, or we don't enforce that much. Well, 2020, we want you to be aware of them because we are going to be enforcing them.
And even the people that say, yeah, I know it's me, I like to point out, like, well, it's not just you.
Right. You are one of them, though.
This is not entirely your fault.
Yes.
If it makes you feel better, there's other people that cause this.
Yeah, I wouldn't send out an email to every one of our subscribers if it was one person. That's a discussion we can have with one or two people. But when it's a couple dozen people across multiple circumstances that we're trying to address, then there's going to be something where it's like, okay, this is a growing number of people, which means we need to kind of stem the tide of that a little bit by getting out in front of it and emailing everybody to say, hey, before this situation gets worse, here's what we'd like people to be aware of. So maybe in 2020 it doesn't get worse and maybe it gets better. Maybe.
But one person can influence change or cause things to be looked upon differently.
Sure.
This is the language warning for the episode.
Uh-huh.
If there are impressionable ears listening, you may want to shoo them away.
Should I cover my
because
ears?
I am going to use a lot of profanity.
Uh-huh.
Because there was an experience today where one fucking asshole son of a bitch, I was going to say motherfucker, but that's just too...
I'm glad you didn't say motherfucker.
That is not... That's a good thing. But it's...
That's a whole different discussion.
Why do we reserve it for people? But anyway, some fucking asshole...
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
Stole... about $200 worth of our brand new Marvel Legends today.
Yep. So if you were someone who was excited about getting the new Spider-Man Legends wave, you can't. Someone stole them.
And it's not like, oh, it just happened. No, I was aware of it as I was happening, but I was by myself today because we have several people out of town.
Yep.
All anybody who could have possibly covered were all unavailable, and it was a matter of like just picking your spot. When I was. So watching the video footage back,
mm-hmm.
I got a phone call which brought me to like the people with the manga. It was a different part of that. Like I immediately had parts of the details wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was a phone call that took me around to that point, and then when I come back, you see the guy come the other way.
Oh, going around the other side of the bookshelf.
Like we have a really good camera system set up, but in every single frame, his face is blurred.
That sucks.
So literally, the image for this, when it's almost always a Christmas tree, but I think I used that last week. It's gonna be like the big circle around it. So the guy dumps, and I told you it was a set. I think it was more than a set. We only have 4 figures left.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what
we
had on the
16.
Shelf. Well, we had 14.
Right.
Yeah,
there's only 4 left
on the shelf. Okay, so he took...
I didn't sell any today.
No, there are some that are in the regular action figure section, because I couldn't fit everything.
Okay.
So he might not have... He honestly might have even taken less than a set.
No, because there was one of everybody, and then 2 each of the Spider-Mans on that section.
And what's left?
2 each of one each of the Spider-Mans.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay. So yeah,
no, a dumb bunny, because there's only one... I don't remember.
Anyway. So probably 5 or 6 figures.
At least a full set of 6 figures.
Okay.
And I noticed him as he was leaving the store. There were people in the store. So I ran out after him, and he's just casually walking north up the block.
Sure.
And I'm right behind him, and I'm yelling like, "Hey, man! Hey, guy with the bag! Guy with the bag who clearly hears me! Stop right there!" And he gets across the street by the townhomes, and I cut through the divvy bikes. And so at this point, I am running.
Right.
And, like, right when I'm near him, he realizes I'm there, and he just bolts.
Sure.
And, like, doing, like, the look over the shoulder, and I'm just yelling, like, drop the bag, just drop the bag. Because so many times the people just drop the bag and go.
Right.
And, like, I wanted the stuff back.
Yeah, this is not, like, I want to prosecute this guy and send him to jail.
I'm not going to win in a foot race.
Right.
And then there was a bunch of movers like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, that guy just ripped me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets too far away, and at this point, I'm around the corner past, like, close to Muffet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I'm like, I left a store with people in it. I have to go back.
Right.
You have to cut your losses.
Yeah.
So as I started jogging back to the store, the truck driver's like, "Oh, you should have just tackled him." Was I close enough to tackle him?
It's not like we're playing flag football or something.
Yeah,
like,
if I could have tackled him, I could have
away.
grabbed the bag. But I'm furious because it wasn't a thing like, oh, we noticed later that it happened. Like, I noticed it.
And couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, it definitely is...
But if I had a second person that day...
You might have been able to do something about it.
I might have stayed after him. I might have, like... someone took the phone call, went that way, somebody would have noticed him coming by. You could see the figures in his bag.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And it's Christmas. But more than that, it doesn't matter that it's Christmas.
Like Atlanta, it's Robin season.
This guy, like... So I called you and said, that's it, we're going to stop carrying figures.
So, I don't know if you're looking for a possible solution, but this was something I thought about a little later. What if we stop putting the new figures in the New This Week section where it's harder to monitor?
Yeah, if we can just put them on the figure section,
right. Yeah,
where we can see them, yeah.
I think just maybe doing that, because, and I said this to you on the phone, it's always Marvel Legends figures.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to be that store, but we have stopped carrying stuff in the past because people only want to steal it. Yeah. They don't want to buy it.
Yep.
And until that situation levels out, maybe we take a pass on that sort of stuff. Or maybe, honest to God, maybe we're just doing Marvel Legends like behind the counter.
I was just going to say
that. You want the new set? Here it is. Tell me which one you want.
Yeah.
I'm not putting them on the floor anymore.
That's fair.
Honestly, maybe we're going to do that.
Yep.
Like, that 100% solves the problem, because it's like, if collectively you collectors cannot be adults about this, then we have to treat you like children. So that's what we're going to do.
The worst part is this guy's wearing a winter coat and a hat.
Sure.
Like, if he comes in the summer, I'm not going to recognize him.
No. Yeah.
All it did was just, first of all, my adrenaline was pumping.
Sure, of course.
I tweaked my knee a little bit because I do not run. And then then immediately when there's a woman like, I need a gift for somebody who...
Lady!
They said, any Marvel graphic novel in the last 10 years? Great. Spider-Man Life Story. Take that. What is that about? Who cares?
About getting robbed!
Yeah, it's like, And then, like, immediately there's a line of people, and I couldn't even call you for, like, 10 minutes after it happened.
Right.
And my heart is pounding, not with old man, oh my God, I can't believe you ran. But, like, just, again, the adrenaline was there.
Yeah, the anger.
And I'm like, oh, and I wanted to hurt somebody so bad.
Yep. Yeah, so I think maybe we'll figure... The tough thing about keeping them behind the counter is how do you advertise the fact that you have them to the people who are going to be...
Yeah.
So maybe we do something where...
Here it is.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The top row of the toy section is now the first issue section, and the first issue is where the Marvel Legends go.
No, honestly, do you know what I was thinking of doing?
What's that?
Do you know how the, I don't know if it's like this in stores now, but when I was a kid and there was a thing such as Toys R Us, you would go to
the world's biggest toy store?
I don't know if that's right.
The biggest selection?
You would go to, like, the video game section and there would just be a tag. And you would take the tag and you'd go and say, I want this figure, or I want this video game.
Sure.
And then from behind, in a separate sealed off room, they would go and get you the game, and then they would come up and they would take the receipt from the tag that you paid for.
This would just be because, well, do you have a different one? This box is dented, or can I see the paint job on all of them?
Which most people don't do that, but if someone wants to do that and I'm standing right there, I will show you 2 figures at a time and you can compare them, so you can't just run off with them. And if people start running off with them, no, you can't see them. Give me your money first, and then I'll let you pick. But we could seriously just do, like take pictures of the figures from the internet, do a few bags and boards of them, punch a hole, put them out on the floor. You want that new figure? Bring that one up here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any of those are viable solutions, and I'm on board with.
Okay, yeah.
I wish we had more lead time than, oh, hey, these are coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, generally. But at least if that's the case, like, if I hear that on a Wednesday, I will take some time to find the pictures of the figures online to make, and we'll make a template, so just dropping in a picture.
Right. And
then you just print out 2 or 3 copies or whatever you have to do for each one, and then, yeah. bag them and board them.
Just what a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, we talk about it frequently when we talk about being having thieves come in. This is not like I'm not saying it's ever good to steal, but when you're stealing from a corporation, that stuff doesn't harm the company. Like it's accounted for in their bookkeeping. They don't want to lose money, but they can better afford to absorb it than a small business can. Where when you're stealing that from challengers, you're stealing that for me. Like that is $100-something that you stole from me. Like, I hope you enjoy those action figures because now I have less money. And all I did to deserve that was stock action figures that you wanted and didn't want to pay for. Like, that was my crime.
You've heard the story of Sarah Silverman posting something and some guy coming after her, like some troll, ripping on her. And she's like, hey, man, are you okay?
Yeah.
What's really going on?
Let's talk about this.
And like,
this
she made a difference in that guy's life.
Sure.
I just want to beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
So badly.
Like, and again, I don't want to kind of equivocate and say there's different kinds of stealing and stuff, but they're stealing bread for your family, and then they're stealing action figures because you like them but don't want to pay for them. Or because you want to, like, resell them and keep the money. Like, these are things where it's... I can't look at that and go, like, well, I understand why that person did that. No, you're just stealing. Like,
I even came up with plans of things that I could do, and I thought, no, let it go.
Yeah.
You have to let it go. Don't let this hate grow. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not going to turn into forgiveness.
No.
Like, if this guy comes back and says, hey, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to do it, I will still dive at him.
Yes. Then he'll get tackled. I owe you this!
Yeah. Where are you now, truck driver?
Yeah. No, I'm really sorry that had to happen to you today. I know it's a stressful time of year for you.
And it made me mad at the employees who weren't there.
Yeah, I understand. I wish that hadn't happened.
This is so I love Christmas time,
mm-hmm.
but every year it feels further and further away.
Sure.
And this year is just so busy with the other store.
Yeah.
And there's really no time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And like most of my Christmas routines I have not done and will not do this year.
You got some new ones though.
But this just, man.
I hear you. I'm sorry.
And it's nobody's fault who's listening, unless you are, then I will find you.
No, you won't.
I won't. I was going to say no, I won't. You didn't, you man, come on.
No, you won't.
You even took that away from me.
I stole that from you.
Thanks a lot, Christmas.
Uh-huh. Yeah, again, I'm sorry that happened. That's super unfortunate. Hopefully there'll be something good that balances out, or at least helps you forget that it happened.
I mean, balancing it out would be reading in the paper that someone died with a paper bag full of...
I was going to say a case of Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures shows up that you didn't have to pay for, but okay, yours is valid as well, I suppose.
If I can advocate for someone's death...
Uh-huh. I don't want the product back so much as I want someone to die. Like, all right. Again, we want different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, how was Christmas sales in Blue? But, well...
I don't know how regular sales are in Blue yet.
As we talk about
hard to say.
Every year, Christmas takes longer and longer to start.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are with Christmas 5 days away, 4 days away? Technically, well, the sales day is over, so 4 days a week.
4 days. 4 days of sales left for the Christmas season.
And we've had, 2 days of Christmas sales. Also, not in a row.
Yeah.
Which is the weird part.
Yeah, there was a point where I was talking about how sales were doing at one store, and you're like, yeah, but for December, right before Christmas, I'm like, I don't think Christmas sales are going to happen this year.
Yeah, you literally said Christmas sales aren't a thing anymore.
I don't think that's... I mean... Again, it's hard to say about River North because we don't have anything to compare it to. I don't know what March is like. So it's like, is Christmas up or down? I don't know.
Sure.
We're definitely seeing people coming in for gifts in River North.
Yep.
I mean, that's frankly all we're seeing in River North. But for Bucktown, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of, that I've experienced, people, a sizable amount of people coming in for gifts. I can say there's a few people each day that I have to help find something or look for something. But in general, it's not like this huge, like, I'm getting crushed by all these people that need all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, not really. Which, I don't know if it's just a weird seasonal thing this year because of how late in the year Thanksgiving was and how that affected everyone's Christmas buying strategies, or if it's just, I don't know, no one's going to stores anymore.
Yeah, I was
Maybe it's
talking
that
to
one.
our good friend Lord Retail, Jermaine Exum. Shout out to Jermaine and Acme Comics, and he was questioning that same thing. So he was talking to other retail in his city, not comics, but other things.
Right.
And they were all saying the same things.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's coming in this season.
Yeah, I don't want to say it was inevitable, but there had been a push towards online sales, and so many online people were doing so many sales in the weeks before Thanksgiving that it's like, I feel like that probably snapped up a lot of people's purchasing. And so when it came time to like, oh, it's after Thanksgiving, I should do Christmas shopping. Okay, I'm mostly done. So yeah, we'll see with that.
I did have a few people over the past few days say things like, "I'm sorry, I pre-ordered this on Amazon before I knew that the store existed," or, "Well, I guess I said this one I'll buy at Challengers."
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did have a subscriber who was in getting their books, and they said, so there's something that I was looking for, and I don't know if you guys are going to have it. So it's, let me bring it up on my phone. It's the Babysitters Club, but it's like the little ones. I'm like, yeah, that came out last week. We have it in the other room. You have it? Yeah. Amazon said it was coming out next week. I mean, I don't know about Amazon, but we got it last week, and it was the on sale date. So here you go.
Yeah. I was hoping that was a blue story.
No, it was a red
I knew
story.
it wasn't when you said the other room.
It was a red story.
I just had one. It went away. What was it? Oh, man, come on.
Yeah, today at Blue was sort of busy. There was, again, mostly people that were coming in for the first time or people that needed Christmas stuff. So it was definitely helping a few people. My husband likes these books. What would he not have? It was so. I'll see what you would do on this one. They like Transmet and Deadpool.
Wow, those are completely different.
So what was
types
the
of
one
thing.
book I recommended that they bought?
Oh man, Punk Rock Jesus.
No. It would be in the sci-fi fantasy section of both stores.
Okay, is it a book that I read?
Yes, it was a book that you were very excited about the first issue based on purely the solicitation text.
Oh, it's obviously Grimjack.
Incorrect.
No, I know. I can't remember what it's called. The Warren Ellis, Jason Howard book.
Cemetery Beach.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know that way gotten there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, this is the guy who wrote Transmet, and also it's like way more actiony and fun and goofy, and it has a fun high concept to it and a kind of jokey main character.
Good work.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come back and ask for the second volume.
Yeah, we'll see if it's good work if they or their husband comes in like 3 weeks and goes, oh, no, thank you. Can we get a different book?
I do have a story like that, but I cannot say it right now because...
Someone listens?
Yes.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
But it was a very weird, like, what could it be? I'm like, wow, that's a tough call.
Mm-hmm.
So I started checking off in my head books that came out this year that were really good, and I had to go through the purchase history, and I'm like, oh, this person never bought this one book. That's so weird. I'm going to recommend this. I find it really weird that they don't have this.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, with someone like that, it's very easy for them to come exchange it.
Sure.
And I like people that like giving a gift as opposed to a gift card. Gift cards are great, which, by the way, I feel like I've sold so few this season.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of them. I'm wondering if for some people that would have done a gift card, they're more likely to do like C2E2 tickets. Do you know what I mean?
We haven't sold that many of those either.
Sold some.
I sold 2 today.
Yeah, so when I see $170 exact
Charge,
store transaction,
yeah.
I'm like, that's 2 3-day passes.
Yeah, I haven't put up the posters for there. Oh, hey, did the transit stop guy call you?
He did, and he was very nice, but I immediately told him, look, it's not that we don't like the product, it's that we can't afford it.
But did you at least hear the spiel?
No.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't want to do the whole... I had people in the store at the time, so I didn't want to do the whole spiel.
All right.
And also, like, it's not that I don't understand the concept. I do. We can't afford it.
True.
So he's like,
we can't afford not to.
Can I check back with you at some point? I'm like, if you want to check back in a few months, yeah, sure. But it was nice of him to not try and like strong arm me into listening to his pitch like that was going to change my mind. I mean, unless the pitch became like, it costs $0, then no, it's still no.
It was a trick question. I know that he called you because he called red looking for you. And I said, I told you to call blue today. He's like,
the other store dummy.
I got caught up and so I just looked online for the numbers. I'm like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Not to belabor Christmas gifts or anything, but how many shops have you gone into for gifts?
Oof. Good point.
Every year I keep track of
Walgreens. I've been into Walgreens.
That counts?
Yeah.
If you buy a gift from Walgreens, that counts.
I'm not saying it didn't count, but like definitely Walgreens for like greeting cards and a couple gift cards.
Okay.
That's probably it. Yeah.
I keep a record of the stores I get things from.
Yeah.
By the way, for the record, our store counts.
Oh, I mean, I ordered stuff through our store for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then Challengers.
Yeah.
Challengers in Bucktown. Yes.
Things I commission from local artists or from like Etsy people or whatever. Like I've got a lot of handmade gifts.
Oh, are you counting Etsy as a source?
I count Etsy as a craft source.
Okay.
But
not as like a store.
No, there's store, there's online store, there's commission.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I think I did one thing through Amazon this year, and it was just a thing where it's like this is coming out so close to Christmas that with my current work schedule, I cannot get to a store and get it and ship it out in time. I have to get it through Amazon and get it shipped directly to the person.
Yeah, there's a big issue. There's a thing that I bought for someone. Again, I can't say because they listen to this podcast, and the hours that they're open are Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 6.
Yeah.
First of all, I work all of those days. Most of those days, I work 11 to 7. Saturday, I work 11 to 5. So, hopefully tomorrow, I have enough time to run over
Saturday before Christmas.
And pick it up. I already paid for it.
Yeah, you just can't get over there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like there's some gifts this year that I feel really good about, and some I really don't. And I was talking to someone this morning about the obligation of gifts.
Sure.
And she was talking about how that she doesn't do that. Like when it's an obligation, she's just not going to do it.
Yeah.
A gift is a thing you want to give somebody.
I'm probably the same way.
You think somebody deserves a thing.
Like, there's only a few people in my life that I get gifts for. And I feel good about all the gifts I'm getting them this year. It's either stuff they requested that I'm like, yes, I can do that. Or there's a few things that like fell into my lap that I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Right? Like when those happen, those are the best.
Yeah. There's one in particular I'm like, I can't wait to tell that person that story. But it's not a lot of people, so I'm able to sort of be a little more choosy about it.
You would have said, I can't wait to tell you that story.
You're one of the people I get gifts for, so I suppose you'll find out by Christmas. But yeah, in general, like thankfully I don't have people in my life where I'm like, oh, I gotta get this person something because they're gonna get me something.
I mean,
there's almost no one I can think of.
Give gifts to the people I give gifts to.
Sure.
I want to give gifts to more people. I just don't. I can't afford to.
I was with you up until the more people part. Just in general, I find the gift giving process nerve-wracking, I guess.
Yeah.
Anxiety-inducing. Like, I like the years where I'm able to knock it all out in just a few days. Like, the longer it hangs over my head, the more of it I have to do, the more stressed out I feel about it.
I usually don't care how long it takes, so long as I have good ideas. But I do care when it's coming down to the last minute.
Yeah.
Traditionally for Christmas, and I know this is not necessarily comics industry business, but it's, it's how I treat the season, which is how I treat the store the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are things I like to do every year for Christmas. I like to make a card.
Yes.
The last, Challengers...
The Challengers card, you mean?
Well, no, I mean, to make a Christmas card.
Oh, okay, because you used to do that before you even had a store.
Right. But then, I merged it with the Challengers card because the cards that I used to make were time-consuming and very expensive.
Yeah.
They were little comics.
Yeah, true.
And they were full color.
Yeah.
And printing and assembling those always took a lot of time. And now I've always liked the idea of the store giving cards to club members, other customers, other stores, businesses that we patronize during the year.
Sure.
Like, I just like to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So it became easier to merge the store card with my personal card.
Yeah.
And then I always used to put a full note in the cards. Well, personally, I send out like 210 cards.
Wow.
The store, over 300.
Wow.
So I can't do that anymore, but I have always ragged on people that just like print their names on it and that's it. Don't even write Dear Dal on the card.
Sure.
Just here's a photo of our family this year and names. So at the very least, I make everybody who works at the store sign the card.
Yes.
So there's at least a human touch, multiple human touches. And in fact, one of my jokes to people this year is, here's our holiday card. And here you can see all the names of the people you never see. You don't know who they are.
Yep.
And can't read.
Yep.
KF.
Yep. I was going to make a joke about, like, everybody signed their name, and then Kent did his thing.
So Christmas cards are a big deal to me. And I know it's a dying art form. I still do it.
Well, I mean, so is comics, so what's
right?
the difference?
And they're both paper. They're both printed paper.
Uh-huh.
A Christmas song every year has become tradition. Sometimes it's obligation. But I'm always, for the most part, happy it's done.
Was Obligation one of the new Kiss albums that I never heard?
It was, no, that's... Financial Obligation to Me is the name of Gene Simmons' solo album.
I see.
This year's Christmas song was released earlier this week. I cannot put it in the podcast because it is a straight out cover. It's not even a parody. It is, I can't legally play it.
Oh, there's no twist on it?
No.
Okay.
So if anybody wants it, get a hold of me and I can email it to you or Dropbox it to you or something, but I can't tag it at the end of this.
Are you going to put it on the Challenger social media feeds?
I don't know. Bob had asked me, like, can you put it on Facebook? And I said, no, there's no time. You can do it. And he said, I don't know if I remember how. Well, because it's been so long since he's had to put it up.
Sure.
And normally I make a video and post the video. I'm not making a video. I don't have time this year. I had a great idea for a concept for the video, but it would require multiple people, multiple locations, and there's just no time.
Sure.
There's no time. By the way, the number one song in England for Christmas is it Stormzy or is it Lad Baby?
So it wasn't Dance Monkey? That definitely... you said that was number 10.
It was number 10. Yeah, she dropped from 1 to 10.
Well, I can't tell where your fury is coming from. And I feel like if it was Sausage Roll, you would be so angry still that I want to say Stormzy.
Well, my anger got transitioned to a different thing.
Yeah, it got enveloped by this other thing, so it's hard to say.
It was I Love Sausage Roll by
I'm
Lad Baby.
sorry.
And what made me furious about it in the morning was that, like 15 years ago, or 19 years ago, one of the first Christmas songs Bob and I did was I Love Mistletoe to Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll.
Yes.
The spin on I Love Sausage Roll, though, is it's a charity single, and it's raising money for a charity.
So you can't be that angry about it?
Right.
Even though you're a little angry about it?
Like last year, the guy was on the radio, and the Scott Mills was like, hey, how does it feel to beat out Ava Max, her number one? He's like, who? At least have dignity.
Yeah. Don't pretend that you're above all of this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So, disappointing again.
Sorry.
The first person ever to have back-to-back novelty number ones.
Yeah. Many
people have had back-to-back Christmas number ones. The Spice Girls have 3 in a row.
Wow.
So anyway, there's that for the Christmas.
Well,
and that's a Christmas
Patrick.
thing I do, is I like the Christmas top 10. In fact, I've been playing multiple times. I've played Greg James's last day of the decade.
Wow.
In radio, in the stores.
Just the entire program again?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Well, it's all very Christmassy.
Sure. I
it
assume it would be.
but I haven't watched any of my Christmas traditional programs.
No.
As it is, we're recording this now. I still have to do the February orders. They're due the day after Christmas, but who's going to do that? And anyway. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, which is very annoying. That is, especially when on like a Tuesday this week, which was so long and so difficult, to know that you still have all this work to do, not at the store. Yeah,
sorry.
I knew it would be twice as much work. It feels like it's more than that.
I think some of it is just because of how screwed up the first few weeks of December are. Like, it's frustrating, at least for me, to... Like, we've only been doing the new schedule for the 2 stores for like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And then on the 4th week, we have to screw it up. Because it's like, we're not getting books these days.
Yeah.
And then we have to do it these other days. So it's like...
4th and 5th weeks.
Yeah. And that, well, I was going to say, like, and so it rolls into the end of the year. So it's really not until, like, January... The week of January 8th, that shipping week, that we're kind of back to a routine again. And, yeah, so making 3 weeks really tense and then 3 weeks kind of light, but in weird ways. I don't like that. I would rather have felt like we were getting, again, a routine where it's the same amount of stuff every week and you're sort of, getting into the rhythm of it. And then you can start to tweak it a little bit or have exceptions. We were just getting our footing and then the whole floor shook.
Yep. It's still an adjustment.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to the commute, which is such a weird thing.
Yeah. This was rarely in the past, only if I filled in for you for something, would I be at the store when the new catalog dropped. But that's going to be every Friday for me from now on. So I got to experience, like, what is it like not having to do this at home? And it's like, it's actually kind of nice.
Which computer did you do it on?
I had to do it on both because the right computer in River North, I'm having a lot of problems opening files from the desktop.
Really?
And installing programs. Like, the whole computer just locks up. Like, I could not open a 1 meg text file from the desktop.
Okay.
Literally the whole computer just, like, you just get that spinning circle not responding.
Huh.
And I go to Task Manager and it's like nothing's going on. There's no process running.
Weird.
Yeah. Similarly, I needed easy thumbnails to make the cover images smaller enough for the website. So I had to install that on the right computer. Couldn't install it. I would double click the installation icon. It would pop in the system tray. It would pop for a second and then close.
So weird.
So I had to do all of the image stuff on the left computer because that one I could install programs on and do all the other stuff. So I had to literally use 2 computers for different tasks to get it all done today.
Huh.
But I got it all done today. So that's up on the website. I'll probably send out an email to subscribers on Monday. Even though it's a little before.
Oh, wow.
Well, the alternative is having to do it way later in the month.
Sure. But then you just have to sit on everything because you can't put everything in because I don't know that I'll be done by Monday with the order pack.
I wouldn't expect you to be done by Monday.
Okay.
I've had to do that in the past. Sometimes
I'm going to be done by Sunday night. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Oh, shit. Wait, no.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You know what? It is going to be for the championship.
Uh-huh. But yeah, it's definitely been... December has been a super weird month to be doing all these new things because so many things that we take for granted running one store suddenly we're shifting up. So then having to juggle a second store while things are shifting around has been more frustrating, I think, than we had thought it could be when we were charting out what running 2 stores was going to look like. It's kind of the classic, like, we can do this if nothing goes wrong. And then the industry's like, for December, what if we did these weirdo things? What if we doubled up 1 week's worth of stuff? Okay, that's going to be really difficult. Cool. Okay, also, and then we're going to be tossing in the next week's books. Okay, that's going to be weirder. Okay, and then the following week, what if all of the Marvel stuff didn't get entered into the system the same way? Okay, that's going to suck. Okay, and then what if at the same time, for the new store that you have, the entire catalog won't let you pull for subscribers correctly? Okay, that's kind of the straw. Okay, and then on top of that, what if for the new catalog that you have for the old store, something goes wrong where 5 consecutive titles you can't add to subscribers' pulls, and also they've disappeared from the catalog, so you're going to have to do all of them in final order cutoff. Like, that's the thing where it's like, everyone needs to shut up for like 5 minutes, and then I can settle down and I can make this work. But all of this at once is, it's making me blow my top a little bit. It's definitely making coming in to do these things on a Friday a little bit more aggravating, I think is the word I want to go with. Where it's just like you're saying, there's all these things and there's not enough time to do them in, and then things keep getting more complicated, and it's like, it needs to get less complicated.
Yeah, with the division of labor that we had set up for the two stores, it was really not supposed to be that much extra work for each of us.
Right.
If things were running normal.
Right. And not to bring this all the way back around to the beginning, but I think it's why some things like subscriber requests can feel less doable than they used to be, because it's like, I'm so busy right now, I don't need this extra thing. You know?
Yeah.
And it is. Like, these are extra things that we have to do for people. And normally it's like, well, we'll suck it up. And then it becomes like, well, I have less room to suck it up than I used to. So it bubbles over a little bit more, and I get a little bit more stressed out about it.
And then people die.
Oh, no.
I mean, by your hand.
Oh, okay. I was really disheartened this week to find out that Steve Johansson from Knights of the Dinner Table, the KODT dev team, passed away.
Yeah, that's the book that you read every single day. But more than that, even though this book is made by people who live all over the country,
not really.
No, where's Kenzer and Company from?
Like the Chicagoland area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my point was going to be, Steve Johansson lived like a couple blocks away from us, and would occasionally come in the store.
Yeah. There were times. I mean, I think we could each make a list of like the best things that happened to us at Challengers.
Yeah.
And it's usually things where it's like, man, if it wasn't for this store, I wouldn't have had this opportunity, this interaction, whatever. People we've met, friends we've made, whatever. Having Steve Johansson drop off like the brand new KODT issue was one of the best things that ever happened for me. Like, because that guy has done strips that I've loved from that book. And then to have like it would be like, what if Joe Jackson dropped off the new Joe Jackson CD for you? It's like, oh my gosh.
I get it, yeah.
How did this happen?
So, do you remember the first time he was in the store?
Yeah.
Tell it.
He came in looking to buy boxes. And I'm like, I'd seen his picture in the books, and one of the characters is kind of based on him. So I'm like, and I looked at his card, and it said like Steve Johansson on it. I'm like, I can't say anything to the guy. But he came in a second time after that to get more boxes. I'm like, hey, I don't mean to be rude, but like, are you Steve Johansson from Knights of the Dinner Table? He's like, yeah. Like, I love that book. Oh my God. It's one of my all-time favorites, and I geeked out on him. And he was really polite about it. And so he would,
he didn't say, no thank you, and back up. Yeah,
he wasn't Dio the droid, my new favorite Star Wars character and possible totem.
And life goal.
No, I'm living that goal. But no, he was very polite. He'd come in a few times and, would drop off an issue or, just kind of be in the area. And I felt really grateful that he would be, so giving of his time for that. And
there was two different times he's like, hey, here's a stack of books. Like, just give them away. Try to get people into this.
Yeah, there was one birthday where I told people, like, if you come in on my birthday, I'm going to give you a free copy of Knights of the Dinner Table, Bundle of Trouble, Volume 1, or the Bag War Saga. And I did give this to people.
Yeah.
He was a super nice guy, and I got to see him at Gen Con as well. And it was funny because, like, when I saw him at Gen Con, it was him and Jolly Blackburn, who's the creator of Knights of the Dinner Table, and another part of the KODT dev team. And the issue I picked up from them at Gen Con was the issue that my letter was printed in from the Challengers Correspondence Club. And, like, when I get there, and I'm like, hey, like, because we were working for Oni at the time, and I'm like, look, one of the things I have to do when I'm at Gen Con, because there's not a lot I really want to do, I'm not a gamer, but I'm like, I gotta stop by the Kenzer & Co table and just, like, pay homage, basically. Be like, hey, I love what you do. Thank you so much. I read it every day. And when I got there, it was near the end of the weekend. Jolly was sitting down and Steve was standing next to him. I'm like, hey, I love your book, blah, blah, blah. And Steve's like, Jolly, this is the guy. Like, oh, and then here's the magazine, and then here's your letter in it. It's like, this was already of knowledge to them. Like, I'm not introducing myself. I'm putting a face to a story now. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
That's so weird, because normally, like, when people come in and go, this is the guy, to you, it's the police.
Yeah, or creditors. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, but this was a good thing. And yeah, it's one of my regrets with when Tom Spurgeon had passed earlier in 2019 was feeling like I wish I had done more to make a connection. You know, like I'd emailed him a few times and that was great, but I could have gone to one of the shows that he was at, or like I felt like I could have done more for someone who I was reading about and following for so many years that I feel like I didn't really get a chance to tell him that in a way that would have made me feel like he was aware of it. And so I was grateful that I got to tell Steve Johansson that I liked his work and that I was a fan of his company, and that, you know, I was grateful for what he'd done for comics, basically.
He wasn't old.
He was 67.
Oh, was he really?
No, I was going to say 67 is when he was born.
Oh.
So
yeah, okay. He's 1 year older than I am.
Or so.
He's definitely not. He was definitely not old.
Maybe less.
Wow.
Yeah. He passed away.
Also, how do you know that he was born in 67? That's weird.
Because that was on the cover of the book. So how I found out about this, there was long ago there was an in-house strip that was done. I think when Steve Johansson had like some weird surgery he had to do, like something he was in the army or something. So something had happened and he was just out of commission for a little bit. It wasn't life-threatening at the time. This was 25, 30 years ago. But one of the things that the KODT dev team will do is they'll do these in-house strips when someone has a baby, gets sick, whatever. Something of like showing appreciation for your friends, you know? So in that strip, there's it's the characters in the book basically talking about the writers and developers as though they're just friends of theirs. Or other employees of Kenzer and Company, rather than some of them being fictional characters. But there's a bit where one of them makes a joke about betting on which developer is going to pull the black cover first, because the developers had a vow to each other that the first one of them to pass away gets an all-black cover for the next issue of Knights of the Dinner Table. So it's been a long-standing kind of joke about pulling the black cover. So when I'm going into my subscriber spot on Wednesday to look at the new issue of Knights of the Dinner Table...
Because now that I unpack and I pull, I put Dal's book in his box. Yeah. I didn't just leave it in the back for him.
Doesn't carry it, so I didn't see the cover. I pull it out of the subscriber spot and I'm like, oh my god, who died? Because it's an all-black cover, and sure enough, bottom right-hand corner, Steve Johansson, 1967 to 2019. I'm like, oh, god damn it. So, yeah, I mean... I didn't need to read the issue to find out he passed away. Right as soon as I saw the black cover, I'm like, someone died. That's what the black cover's for. Like, that's... yeah. So, yeah, I've said it before, Knights of the Dinner Table is my all-time favorite comic book. I literally read it every day. I read it with almost every meal I have, certainly every meal by myself. And, yeah, Steve Johansson did a bunch of all-time strips that I adore from that book. And I'm sorry he passed away.
Well, I'm sorry he passed away too.
Thanks.
But I'm glad he gave you all that joy.
He did, yeah. The next issue of Knights of the Dinner Table that comes out is the Steve Johansson tribute issue, because even though the black cover's on this one, it was after the issue is more or less put to bed. So they only have like an editorial in the front, and then the black cover, and then a few fan letters, because it had happened prior to when they were doing like the letter stuff.
Did you write in?
I didn't even know.
No, I mean for the next one.
Oh,
can.
I could, yeah. I suppose I could. Maybe I will. Maybe. It sounds like it's something where it's going to be a lot of like, again, the other developers, their remembrance of him, and other people in the industry that he'd worked with or were fans of his. Also, strip ideas that they just never got around to that he had put forward.
All military history, I assume.
They're probably going to put them together. Anytime, like, one of my all-time favorite strips is the weirdest thing for Knights of the Dinner Table. So, for those who don't know, Knights of the Dinner Table is a long-running comic strip about people playing a role-playing game. And unlike a lot of books where they dramatize the actual role-playing elements of it, this is literally just people sitting around a dinner table saying what their characters are doing. So there is no like drawings of their characters or whatever. It's all dialogue driven because Jolly Blackburn is not much of an artist. It's there's templates of these characters and they just plug new dialogue in and shift around how they're laying out the panels to give it flow. So it's all dialogue driven. There was a strip that was done as a bonus strip in one of the bundles of Trouble back in the day. It was like probably in one of the first 6 bundles of Trouble, which were collections of issues with some new backup material. And the new backup strip was a strip called Turn 54. And basically, 2 of the characters play this absurdly detailed World War I board game. And the entire strip is just them going through all these different like checklists they have to do and putting food on carts to send out to different places and reassigning like lorry drivers and stuff like that. And it's page after page, and it's the entire day they spend doing one turn in the game. And they play
the 54th turn.
And they play once a month because they spend the entire day doing one turn. And like one of the punchlines in the strip is like they should work up rules for like precipitation and like a heat index or something to make it more realistic. It's not realistic enough. And yeah, that was one of the ones that he contributed to. And they did a follow-up strip years later that he did a lot of contribution to, where the board game, it was called The Great War, had run longer than the actual World War I. Like they were currently in like the late 1920s or something. That's like you've outrun the actual World War by years. Anyway, so yeah, anytime it was a military history thing, C. Johansson definitely had a hand in it. That was definitely his passion. There's a funny thing where in the editorial, Dave Kenzer talks about how Steve knew so much about military history and like classic wars and battles and stuff, that if sometimes they'd be like, hey, what's the password to get on the server? It's like, oh, it's this battle from this war from the 1600s, all one word. And it's like, I don't know what the third war in the what? You would have to go to Google to find out what it was. But he just knew it, and he just assumed everybody knew it.
It's Agincourt, by the way.
Yeah.
The Battle of Agincourt.
Mm-hmm.
But did you have to put the Battle of or just Agincourt? Like when I don't know.
I guess. But anyway, yeah. That was a sad thing for me this week. Was one of the creators of one of my favorite comic book of all time passed away. So thanks everybody for letting me talk about that.
Man, I was going to say, and thanks for listening, but I wanted to say that next week will be the last contest of challengers for the decade. No, I mean it'll be Is that
how they say it on BBC Radio 1?
I mean, a lot of people were, yeah, but
like,
I
mean that way specifically
of the
decade.
Well, tongue in cheek,
sure,
because of how many people had been saying it in real life.
Sure.
This is the last time I'm going to take the trash out for the decade, like stuff like that.
Sure.
I think next week we need to become armed with our favorite things from the year.
Okay.
Not necessarily just comics.
Okay.
But like, favorite comic things or just things.
Sure, yeah. I'll try and think about that.
All right. And then, if possible, what you're looking forward to comic-wise in the next year.
Okay, good idea. I've been working on the March 2020 catalog, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that.
Nice. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155.
And in the River North neighborhood of Chicago at 750 North Franklin Street, number 103, 312-285-2252.
Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.